Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Nikitinaknits. My name is Evgenia, and in this video I would love to speak about summer knitting patterns that I fell in love with. My wish list consists of bras and camisoles, t-shirts, and summer sweaters and cardigans. Every pattern I'm going to speak about was chosen very carefully. I check usually finished work on Ravelry. Checking hashtags on Instagram of finished work is very important to me that the finished item looks not only good on designer's page, but also on the pictures of people who completed the project. And as usually I do in my pattern roundups, I comment a lot on the yarn. So I comment on recommended yarn by designer, and I give my own option if I decide to go with something else. So grab your knitting, grab your favorite drink, and let's begin with the first beautiful item, which is Nurture Bralette by Celine Feyten. I'm already smiling when I just speak about it because this item has been on my list since 2 years ago, and since then I couldn't find any better bralette, to be honest. So this bra / tank top could be worn right under the t-shirt, just like a layering piece, or it could be also worn on its own. For example, a short version of the bra could be worn at the beach as we take a walk, or the longer version, like a top tank length, could be worn on its own, even like a piece to wear in the city. It's really beautiful. So in this whole pattern roundup, I'm going to be mentioning a few t-shirts and items that are very see-through, and I don't feel comfortable to wear like a real bra with those see-through t-shirts, so I was looking for a perfect bralette that could be a perfect layering piece for those t-shirts. So keep this one in mind as I'm going to be speaking about those t-shirts later in this video. So what makes this bra quite different from others? In my opinion, it's very professionally made. I don't know if she has any technical background in making clothing, but at least I could tell that she maybe does, because it's very smart construction. I went on Ravelry, I saw so many finished objects on different body shapes with different sizes, and every single top just fits perfectly. It's really hard to achieve usually, especially in such fitted item like a bra, and you have so many nuances to consider. And not only that you can wear it for everyday basis, she also says that you can use it as a sport tank. Of course, the promise of sports bra is very personal, because depending on how much support we need, what activity do we do, and what material we use, how tight we knit, with how much of negative ease, and so on. But overall, the promise of this being able to be a sports bra already gives me an understanding that it's quite supportive bra, which is for me enough, at least for just wearing at home or going for a walk, or just wear it on everyday basis. The top is designed to be worn with 20 centimeters of negative ease, with a lot of twisted stitches and a very beautiful lace pattern right under the bust. The bra is knitted on 3mm needles with 26.5 stitches per 10 centimeters, which is a fingering weight project. The recommended yarn looks like a hand dyed or some special yarn, and even one of them is discontinued, but I personally wouldn't go with those yarns. I have an option of Sunday by Sandy's Garn in my stash already, a leftover from this sweater. Sunday is a 100% very soft merino wool, but if you don't want to use wool and you want to go for a plant-based fiber, I would maybe suggest to look for yarns that have quite a tight spun, and maybe avoid a lot of silk content or a lot of viscose content. The goal is to achieve the fabric that is going to be quite elastic and tight, and is not going to stretch a lot with time. The option that I would suggest if we speak about plant-based fiber is BC Garn Summer in Cashmere, which is 90% cotton and 10% cashmere. It is spun in a good way. I wouldn't say super tight, but it's tight enough, and I hope it's going to keep the shape well with time. Now let's speak about the construction. The construction is top-down seamless construction. There is no detailed explanation on how you actually knit it top-down, but I went through Ravelry pictures and I realized that you probably cast on with the provisional cast on here at the stripes, and then you triangles down, and then the shaping happens either flat or already in the round connected here under bust. Anyways, this designer is so smart that I really trust her on every single detail on this pattern. I don't even want to, go and figure it out how everything is knit. What really surprised me is that for each size you have 5 cup sizes with short rows, so it's very customizable. No matter what size you have, no matter what shape you want to achieve, you're going to be able to do it, which is just insane. I'm so glad these kind of patterns exist, and I cannot wait to knit this one. By the way, I spoke about this designer in my previous videos, new April patterns of 2025. Check it out. She released a gorgeous camisole that I cannot stop thinking talking about. And you know, I noticed that every single pattern that she's releasing is better than the previous one. So I feel like she's always advancing and learning something new. And I always appreciate those designers specifically because you're always excited to wait something new from them. Overall, learning something new is always exciting, and I'm that kind of person who is always hungry for new knowledge and new skills. And that's why I'm so excited to speak about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes for creative and curious people, just like us knitters. There you can find in-depth classes on many topics like sewing, embroidery, illustration, design, photography and video, freelancing, language learning, cooking, gardening, and more. Basically, whatever you want to get better at, there is a class on Skillshare for sure. The class I will be joining is about gardening. I always had this dream, you know, to have these layers in the corner of my kitchen where you can grow arugula, salad leaves, parsley, cilantro, like green onion. Basically, you cut them fresh and you put them into your salad. Now I'm so excited to join the class of Ekta Chaudhry. She has a PhD in ecology. She's full-time gardener and her whole career is about gardening as well. And when I saw her intro on the Skillshare, it was just so contagious how much she loves plants and how much she loves the whole idea of gardening. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Also, you can simply scan the QR code that you can see on the screen right now, and this will direct you to Skillshare. Enjoy and get started today, and please let me know which class would you like to join on Skillshare, and maybe you can give me some ideas for joining other classes as well. The next pattern is quite a new pattern. It was released in March of 2025. It's Wisteria Tank by Joan. And what caught my attention at first is, of course, the presentation. I really loved how she was wearing this with very simple linen trousers or cotton trousers, something very natural, very simple, very minimalistic. And also I like that this top is knitted in DK weight. I have a top knitted on light fingering weight. Last summer I did it on 2.5mm needles, so 2.75. Never again I said I'm going to be knitting a top on 2.5mm needles. It took me forever. I recently bought some very free voluminous linen pants, and I was thinking I want something small and short for the top to balance the look. It can be anything, to be honest. And another thing I really like is that you can wear it with a bra. The back of the top doesn't have this straight cut, so if you look at that, at the top you have still a neck depth, which is really beautiful and elegant. In the front we have a shape of the U, which is slightly squared, so it's not a complete square and it's not a very rounded shape, something in the middle. I really like her speckled version, really creamy color with just slightly colorful speckles, really interesting. I would love to try that yarn, and the recommended yarn is Jasmine from Koigu or Koiju. Don't know how you pronounce that. It is 100% merino wool, non-superwash, and from the fabric that I can see, it's a little bit drapey and shiny, which is very beautiful. But of course, this yarn is probably pretty hard to get, so of course I have an alternative. I would use alpaca silk from Sadness Garn, held double. So it is 70% baby alpaca and 30% silk. I saw this yarn in the yarn shop in personal life, and oh my god, it is so soft. It is so drapey and feels extremely luxurious. I would love to knit a top in this yarn, and I think it will create not elastic ribbing, so the ribbing is going to just float and not squeeze into your body. So depending on what you want, like if you want the effect of squeezing into your body, you maybe want to go for something more sturdy, like a merino that is quite tightly spun, or any other yarn that is a bit more tightly spun, but with alpaca and silk content is going to be pretty relaxed. This is what I would want from this top, and a little bit of shine, which is going to look very luxurious and beautiful. The description doesn't really tell how do you knit this top, but I saw the pictures on Ravelry and I saw that you knit bottom up. I spoke about this in my previous video, but I'll repeat again that I love tops that are constructed bottom up, because then you have way more flexibility on how you adjust your stripes and you have less pain if anything goes wrong. So even if the item is going to stretch during the wear, you can always undo the bind off and just fix it to the length that you want. Another plus from knitting bottom up is that it's very easy to shape the top of the neck. So as I said, in this pattern we have a beautiful neck depth at the back, and that's because it's super easy to make from bottom up, right? You just start to decrease certain stitches. So of course you can try to make a lot of shaping when knitting top down, and a lot of designers still do that, but then the pattern becomes not a beginner friendly but more like advanced knitter, because there's a lot of short rows, a lot of things will go on, and it becomes a complicated pattern. So nice construction, quick to knit on 4mm needles with 20 stitches per 10 centimeters. And we can experiment a lot with yarns, especially if you have a lot of hand-dyed yarns that are like 1 or 2 skeins. You can combine fingering weights or just use a DK weight if you have, and it's going to be a beautiful speckled ribbed top. And one more camisole I want to bring up is Ilana Camisole by Masha Ziablikova. This camisole was quite popular last year, but the issue with this pattern was that there were not enough sizes. There were only 3 sizes available. However, now she released more sizes. We have a lot of sizes covered and many people could knit this beautiful camisole for themselves. And this is so wonderful because this camisole is just gorgeous. I really like how this camisole is balancing between being casual and very feminine at the same time, with this very deep V-neck, with this beautiful facing each other cables, and of course this very beautiful shaping at the side of the camisole that really helps to define the waist. And I think this camisole would be beautiful both with sport shoes and jeans, or with a midi silk skirt and linen trousers, of course. I also have linen shorts and this camisole would pair with them so well. It is 100% bra friendly, which is always a preference for me. I really don't like to have headache of which bra to wear with which top, and with this camisole I think any bra from my wardrobe would go really well. So the recommended yarn is a fingering weight yarn, and she has a lot of recommended options in the description. I will list them on the screen right now. And luckily there are many finished objects on Ravelry. I went there and I checked a lot of different yarns. A lot of them used recommended yarn, and I can say that I don't really like the options that I knitted with Knitting for Olive pure silk. So silk in Knitting for Olive and viscose in Sadness Garantine Line make those threads very relaxed and they don't hold the shape really well. So the cables become very flat and very relaxed. Maybe some people love that. I don't really like that because you put so much effort on creating those cables on 3mm needles. I saw other samples from one of the recommended yarns, which is Rosarius for Madrigal. It is 100% also Barrette silk, but it looks way more dense and way more firmed. The reason to that is because Rosarius for Madrigal has 200 meters per 50 grams instead of 250 meters per 50 grams from Knitting for Olive. So the thread is a bit thicker and that creates way more structure and stability to the fabric. So if you want to go still for 100% silk, this could be a very beautiful option. And of course, if you want to go for a merino or any other cashmere wool content, there's so many options on the market with fingering weights. One of them I would recommend is Kremke Soul Wool Mary Merino 220. It is 100% super soft merino wool that is baby soft next to skin. The garment is knit on 3mm needles with 26 stitches in cabled pattern, and the construction is knit top down. You create these stripes first with triangles both in the front and in the back. I don't know exactly how it's knit step by step because there is no description on that in detail, but I think it's quite simple. You just need the triangles first from the top. I would block it at that point when I'm done with forming triangles to see how much the stripes would stretch, so I don't risk, you know, knitting the entire garment and ended up with a very stretched fabric. That depends a lot on the yarn that you choose. After that, you connect those triangles in the round and you already create shaping, optional if you wish. It looks really beautiful and I just can't wait to knit it and wear it, maybe hopefully this summer. Now we're moving to t-shirt section. I have only 2 t-shirts to show you today. The first one is Mandry top by Natalie Pelykh. She gives you an option also to knit it like a vest or top type without the sleeves. It looks also gorgeous. I'm personally attracted to a t-shirt style. So look at this t-shirt. This is so breathable. I don't know what can be more breathable than that. Super romantic, beautiful, feminine, and extremely comfortable. Imagine just wearing this on a hot day where everything sticks to the body. It's really humid, it's really hot, and whatever breeze or wind that comes your way, you want to take into your body. And these type of t-shirts are very useful in these cases. And by the way, this is a Ukrainian designer. She's very popular in my country, in Ukraine, and I created a whole entire video on Ukrainian knitting patterns available in English if you want to check it out. I will be also leaving the link in the description box, and I was also mentioning Natalie Pelykh in that video as well. So here in this piece, the fantasy is endless. You can create like an oversized t-shirt just like on the sample and on the pictures that we see, and tuck it into the shorts or just wear it freely right open. You can also create a cropped version and show up a little bit of your belly if you wish. You can also make it without the sleeves, as I already said, and make it a tank top, also tucking in into your shorts or open or even cropped. And again, this would pair really beautiful with my linen trousers that are exactly the same color as this sample. The recommended yarn is Italian yarn and cone is Pure Ilana Italia Lino 950. 4 strands held together throughout, and just says that it results in a DK weight. I don't think it's easy for everyone to find Italian yarn and cone, obviously, and knitting with 4 strands together might be a bit stressful for many of us. So I would go with a different option with Antigone by Durera Nature, which is 100% linen. The color selection is just gorgeous. I can't stop looking at those beautiful muted natural colors. Antigone is a sport weight yarn, and I think it would suit perfectly to this pattern, because even though she says it's a DK weight, I think it's still a little bit leaning to sport weight or light DK weight. So it is 16 stitches per 26 rows and 10 centimeters on 3mm needles. And from just how the t-shirt is looking, I can also say that the sport weight or light DK weight would also suit this pattern. It's just that with the sport weight yarn, it's going to look a bit less heavy and a bit more, even more see-through, you could say. So the whole construction is knitted top down. You first start at the back, knitting the back piece first. After that, you pick up stitches for the right side, knitting the front line with some increases for the neckline, doing the same for the left side, and then connecting stitches here at the neck, knitting front flat down to the armhole shaping. After that, connecting back piece and the front piece together in the round, knitting the whole body down in the round, finishing to desired length. And after that, you already decide what do you want. Do you want the sleeve? You don't want the sleeve. If you don't want the sleeve, you just do some edging here at the armhole. And if you want the sleeve, you pick up stitches and start creating sleeve cap with some short rows, which is really nice. It creates a very beautiful fit without, you know, collecting fabric under the arm. And then you knit the sleeve until desired length. I think long sleeves would also look gorgeous in this pattern. Also, another thing I want to say about this designer, she releases so many sizes, from kids to adults at the big sizes. So very beautiful blouse, I would say, not even in a t-shirt. Very unique pattern. I didn't really see many patterns like that online. A lot of attention to the fit, to the details, and a lot of options for us to enjoy. And one more pattern from Ukrainian designer today is Sinuous Tee by Victoria Chaplina. It is a very basic tee with quite interesting stripes. The stripes are not stock in it, they have a different stitch pattern. I still don't know what exactly stitch pattern she was using, but it looks very interesting and simple at the same time. Striped tees are very popular lately, but they were looking a bit too simple for me. I wanted some interesting detail on them, and none of the striped tee that I saw online before this one never caught my attention, and this one really did. I don't know if it's the color of the sample or the whole presentation or whatever it is. It got my attention and I would like to have it in my wardrobe. I would use either this combination of white and light pink or just white and light gray or light beige to create even less contrast. And to be honest, I think in any level of contrast this tee would stand out. It looks very casual, but somehow elegant and feminine as well. The recommended yarn is a DK weight yarn, and there's 4 options that she recommends. I'm putting them on the screen right now. However, the item is knit on 3.5mm needles with 22 stitches per 10 centimeters. So I think a light DK weight and sport weight would also fit this pattern, depending on how much breathability you want through the fabric. There is a yarn I really want to try, and that is listed in my video about summer yarns. Check it out if you haven't seen that video. I'm speaking about many yarn options that you can use for this summer. I'm putting the link in the description box as well. So this yarn is Katya Cotton Yak. It is very soft, very nice lightweight yarn that I really want to try for a long time. I think like for 3 years I'm thinking to try it. And it has 60% cotton, 30% soft wool and 10% yak. So the cotton makes it a summer yarn, and the wool content adds a lot of elasticity, softness and puffiness to the whole thread. So we don't have that heavy cotton feeling when we're wearing the t-shirt. The construction is top down, raglan construction, very simple. I think very beginner friendly as well. So you start at the top without any edgings, and you just knit back and forth to raise the back in relation to the front. So you have this beautiful rounded crew neck with depth. And of course you already start increasing for the raglans, for the sleeves, for the body, and you're of course doing straps as well in parallel. When you reach in the armhole depth you're happy with, at this point again I would block the fabric to see how it works out. My new trick during knitting. Then separating for sleeves, leaving them on hold and knitting the whole body in the round down down to desired length, then picking up stitches that won't hold for the sleeves, knitting them to desired length, and there I think is either folded over finishing or they're double knitted. I don't know exactly because there's no details on that. So the same goes for the bottom edge, and for the neckline you're doing the I-cord edge. So nice, very casual t-shirt to knit that should go by quite quick as well because it's a DK weight yarn, and also should last for many years in our wardrobe because it's very simple piece that is going to be quite timeless. And the last section for today is sweaters and cardigans. The sweater I fell in love with so much is freshly released pattern. It was released in March of 2025 and it is a Pierre Sweater by Kolibri by Johanna. This is an all-over lace sweater that is quite relaxed and oversized, and it's knit with one strand of light fingering weight and one strand of silk mohair. So it's super breathable, very lightweight, and I found those pieces very useful in early mornings or late evenings, or just like today, for example, we had rain here in the north of Spain, and to go out is already too fresh just in a t-shirt. So this sweater would make it a perfect layering piece. And also when you go for a vacation, it's also really nice to wear in the evenings, walking by the beach, or to have a romantic date under the stars in the night. In the night it gets quite cold in summer, so those sweaters are quite useful. I found them a bit too cold for winter, but for the summer it's just perfect. So look at this lace motif. I don't know what it reminds you about. For me it's like little towers or little bells, maybe also some flowers. So many different beautiful associations that just bring so much joy to my mind when I only look at that. So quite a unique lace motif. I have not seen such motif before. And now, by the way, she's knitting a new sample for her new pattern, which is the same exact sweater with the same motif, but with a bigger gauge, so it's knit up faster. So that's why it also has a different neckline, which looks also very beautiful. However, I'm still more in love with this version, which is more work, of course, on 3.5mm needles all over oversized lace sweater, but still I think it's worth it. So worth it that I'm going to enjoy it for many years if I ever need one for myself. So the recommended yarn is Netting for Olive Merino and Netting for Olive Silk Mohair held together. Surprisingly, I have never knit with this combination. It's such a popular yarn and it is a beautiful yarn. I do have Knitting for Olive Merino in stash. I touched Knitting for Olive Silk Mohair in real life. For me, the mohair seemed to be not so soft to my preference because I'm oversensitive person, but a lot of people enjoy that mohair and they say it's quite soft to the skin. So it really depends on your sensitivity levels and your expectations from mohair. I would use Knitting for Olive Merino. I have a light gray color in my stash, like pearl gray color, but for the mohairs I would go for way softer options, either Isair mohair or Bichet Bush mohair. I touched this also in the yarn shop and it was really soft. So yeah, I wouldn't replace this merino with anything else because what I like about Knitting for Olive Merino is that it's a carded merino wool and it is a really lightweight merino. So they found a combination between really soft yarn and making it lightweight, which is not always easy to do. Of course, cashmere has that quality, but cashmere is very expensive. So Knitting for Olive Merino is still amazing and it's popular for a reason. Really nice yarn. So the structure of the sweater is also really simple. You knit it top down. You start at the back, you knit the back piece first, then you pick up stitches at the right shoulder, knitting the front with increases for the neck, doing the same for the left, connecting at the neckline in flat piece, knitting flat down to the armholes, connecting both panels together, knitting in the round already down to desired length, doing twisted stitch ribbing. I still don't know if I would go with a twisted stitch. I don't mind doing that, like doesn't really bother me on the hands, but I don't know if I really like the look of that. So I would experiment with normal ribbing and twisted ribbing. Let's see how it looks. After you're done with the bottom, you're picking up stitches at the arms. In the description, it doesn't say that it has short rows, and in the dried flat item, I didn't see also some bending on the sleeves. That means there's none. Usually it bothers me, but in this specific pattern, I don't see a fit issue without those short rows. So I'm completely fine with that. After you're reaching the length of the sleeve that you like, you're also finishing with a twisted ribbing. I think this sweater could be also beautiful and nice with an I-cord. At least in my mind, it looks nice. I would experiment with that. I think it would look really nice as well. with a night. And the next cardigan is a summer cardigan, which is a Cardamon Cardigan by Wisteria Chaplina, the same Ukrainian designer that I already spoke about today. This is such a gorgeous feminine cardigan that is very breathable and perfect for summer, of course. It is knit with only 2 strands of your favorite mohair of standard meterage, and my choice for this mohair would be Isair mohair, my most favorite mohair, and I'm in love with the color palette so much. Very breathable, beautiful, feminine summer cardigan that we can wear both in summer and also in early autumn and late spring. So not so much effort because it's knitted with 19 stitch gauge per 10 centimeters. With 2 strands of mohair, and it's just super lightweight, super simple, and I think it's also quite timeless because it's very classic, simple cardigan. So what I like specifically about this one is this very wide raglan lines. I didn't even distinguish them at first. When I look at the garment, I was like, where is the seam? And it's actually this very wide, beautiful raglan lines. In the knitted sample by designer, it is quite long and it has this very slightly wide sleeves in the bottom. I don't really like sleeves that are a bit wide in the bottom, specifically in this design. So I would maybe do tapered sleeves, just like this width would be just perfect for this cardigan. And also I wouldn't make it so long. So I would maybe make it hit my pelvic bones in the lengthwise. What I would also pay attention to when making this cardigan is the buttons. I would use quite special buttons, maybe like pearl buttons. Today we have such a big variety, and I would spend some time to find some special buttons for this cardigan. Also depends on the color that I would choose. But if I imagine a pearl color or champagne color cardigan with some pearl buttons, it will look just wonderful. A button band is also a nicord, as I could understand from the description, and also the edgings are worked with a nicord. So we need it top down. We do optional short rows to raise the back a little bit for a great fit. I would always go for short rows, even if you're a beginner. It is worth all of the effort, so the cardigan doesn't then choke you at the neckline. So after you're done with the short rows, you're just doing back and forth while increasing for the raglans. When you're done reaching the armhole, you're splitting for sleeves, leaving them on hold, knitting the whole cardigan flat to desired length, binding off, picking up stitches at the sleeves, knitting them to desired length with your desired rate of decreases. I would maybe do every 9th row of decreases in such a gauge to achieve this tapered sleeves. Then you're doing the I-cord finishings, as I already said, and you're done with the cardigan. Perfect to go either with casual look or with skirt, as she's wearing on the sample. Looks really elegant and classy. Very versatile, very basic, timeless piece. This is all I wanted to speak about today. However, there is one more knitting pattern that I'm about to cast on and I already have the yarn for, which is a ripple pullover by Blue Squirrel Yum. It is a Korean pattern. I'm not going to speak about it in this video because I covered this whole pattern in my Korean summer patterns video. So if you haven't seen that video and you want to know about the ripple pullover there, I will also be leaving the link in the description box. Well, that was it for today. I was so excited to go through my beautiful list, and these patterns were very carefully chosen and I'm in love with them for quite a few months and for some even for years. And I really hope that you could find something inspiring for yourself today. If you did, and if you want to knit something from this list, please let me know in the comments. I would be really curious to know. Also, don't forget to join Skillshare and enjoy some wonderful classes out there using my link in the description box. Thank you again very much for watching, and I'm hoping to see you soon in my next video.